And God says to Moshe, come to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his servants, in order that I might show my signs in their midst. So the famous question that stands out so prominently is, why does it say Bo el Paro? Come to Pharaoh, and why not Lech el Paro? That would make more sense. Go into Pharaoh. Now, there are many answers to the question, but in light of what we've been focusing on and discussing in the fellowship, the words of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, of course, spoke so strongly to me, and that's what I want to be sharing with you. So he brings the ancient sacred text of the Zohar to provide some context, right? He explains that usually up until now, Moshe would sort of ambush Paro. Often Paro was in like a compromising situation at the time, such as the first plague, when Moshe approached Paro while he was in the Nile as he was relieving himself, right? Which he did in the Nile, by the way, to hide the fact that he even had to do such a thing because he was trying to pass himself off as a deity, and deities don't have to relieve themselves, so he would go into the Nile, and that's what he would do, and that's where Moshe would ambush him. But now, the sages explain that Moshe was afraid because he was going to confront Paro on his throne, right, in his palace, the hub of his power, surrounded by all the majesty and the glory of his palace, of his Armon. So Moshe was more afraid now, and Hashem is saying, Bo el Paro, meaning come with me. Hashem is saying, I'll go with you. I will hold your hand. Plus, he says, Bo el Paro ki ani hechbarati, because I have strengthened his heart. I'm the one that strengthened his heart. I'm the one that's created this whole situation. I am with you. But are you ready for this? So now the Zohar goes even deeper. So why does it, here's the verse from the Zohar. Why does it say, come to Pharaoh? It should have said, go to Pharaoh. But God brought Moses into a chamber within a chamber, to the supernal and mighty serpent from which many levels evolve, and Moshe feared to approach himself. Right? He'd been going to Pharaoh for months. Right? Now all of a sudden he's scared. Why is this so different? Because now he was being told to enter into Pharaoh's very essence. Right? He was told to penetrate to the very soul of Pharaoh. He wasn't just going to confront Pharaoh externally, but he was going to confront him on the soul level, to peel away all of the klipot, all of these shells of illusion and impurity and ego within Pharaoh, and really encounter the creator himself at the very core of Paro. Right? Hashem was saying to Moshe essentially, come to see me within Pharaoh. And I think maybe that's the reason why he was so afraid. You know, we saw a similar fear of beholding the greatness of Hashem at the burning bush, if you remember. Moshe was afraid to behold God. It's not really Pharaoh who Moshe is afraid of, but coming to an encounter with Hashem himself, with the Yud, the Hey, and the Vav and the Hey within Pharaoh. Because how can a human being, right, a mere mortal of flesh and blood possibly behold such a pure revelation of divine truth that is so transcendent that at the deepest core, right, it's equally the source of both good and evil, the source of light and darkness, right? The ultimate oneness and unity of Hashem is within there. That's got to be terrifying. You know, there are times I walk around the farm at night and I'm talking to Hashem, and often it's times where I'm like seeking understanding. But there have been times where I ask Hashem to give me some sort of revelation, you know, to reveal himself to me in some way. And there was a time that I clearly remember that I asked him to reveal himself to me in some way, and then my heart started beating really fast. You know, it was like accelerating, and I started to sweat, and I got flushed. And then I remember thinking, you know what? Maybe we should just keep things at the status quo. Let's just stay where they are right now. I don't need to necessarily understand everything. You know, I got afraid. I was afraid. You know, really encountering Hashem, I imagine it's quite a jarring event. And Moshe, think about it, when he went up to Mount Sinai, he had to wear a mask for the rest of his life because there was such divine light emanating from his face. So perhaps, my friends, that's what scared Moshe so profoundly. The prospect of Bo El Paro, right? Hashem saying to Moshe, "Come and encounter me within Paro," and that is the secret of Hashem's name, that He is behind everything, that He's within everything, that there is nothing other than Him, and that is my 911 emergency mantra, right? It's actually, the words are found in the 4th chapter of Deuteronomy, but they are expressed with the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey. What are those words? Say it with me if you know. Ein od milvado. There is nothing other than Hashem. There's nothing other than Him. But I won't go so deeply into that because we've had entire fellowships based on those 3 words. And so last week we discussed that we have a little Pharaoh within us. Remember that and perhaps that little Pharaoh was part of Moshe's fear, that he would encounter that tiny sliver, that little inkling of Pharaoh, even within himself, that voice that knows the way things are supposed to be, that voice that resists yielding to the creator of the universe, that voice that would compel, perhaps, maybe this is blasphemous, but that would compel even the holiest men to strike a rock instead of speaking to it as Hashem asked him to do.
This highlight was taken from the Land of Israel Fellowship. Every week, hundreds of families from literally around the world come together on our live Zoom sessions to strengthen each other, to inspire each other, and to learn Torah from the Land of Israel, in which we connect the dots between the Bible, the Hebrew language, and the confusing events of our times. Go to www.thelandofisrael.com/fellowship or click on the link below to join. Thank you.